battery. I'm not sure if that helped give you a little more weight to where I was able to do a little more freestyle. Big thank you to Sidewinder FPV for providing the footage on this. I let him fly this thing around, and he was really enjoying it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get to video quality. So video quality on this Runcam Nano is actually pretty good, as long as you're not directly in the sunlight. When I was in the sunlight, it did have a little washout in the shadows, and also felt like a little oversaturated, which I probably can change some settings, but this was the default settings exactly in the DVR, not in the DVR, but also in the camera itself settings. So 7 out of 10 on video quality, a little better than the Emax Tiny Hawk Freestyle. Now power, since this is a 3S quad and I can pretty much flick it and do whatever I want with it, I feel like power 9 out of 10 is definitely suitable for this thing. Has more than enough power to do anything you want to do, and has a little bit, flight time is about 2 minutes to 3 minutes on a 650 milliamp battery. So take that as you will. It's a little bit, a little hungry on the battery, but nothing if you're a little conscious of. You can maybe get up to 3 minutes, if you're conscious of it and you're not really pushing it too hard. Now, regarding video and the receiver range, video range is not a problem. It's going to do 200 milliwatts out of the box, and you can set that up with smart audio, which is great. But the receiver range, since I have the D8 version, is a little bit lacking. You get about 2 football fields where it will just hard fail safe and just crash right into the ground. So I would definitely probably recommend either going with the Crossfire if you have a Crossfire setup, or going with the RX SR version of this one, which I'll leave all the versions down below, even the FlySky version if you want to. So it does take an external version as well. You can also put your own receiver on it, so you don't have to just settle with what they have. If you already have some receivers laying around, then put your own receiver on it, and don't worry about whatever version you want to buy. So now, regarding durability on this, since it is only using one little plate on the bottom, and it has this pod here, I'm a little concerned of it just messing up or breaking the flight controller with VTX. So I am giving the durability a 6 out of 10. So the Emax Freestyle did score a little better since it does have that sandwiched 2 bottom plate and top plate design. Build quality, since it doesn't have any soldering on it, everything looked fantastic. I didn't see any issues regarding how everything was routed. So 8 out of 10 with build quality, but it's also not really hard to put this together since there's no real soldering required. So the overall score on this is going to be a 7 out of 10. I definitely do recommend it. I haven't had any issues with it. Just do remember, if you are going to use air mode, to shut off motor stop because it's enabled from default. So just go ahead and do that. So that should do it with the Happy Model Larva review. I will leave a link to this down in the video description down below. It will be an affiliate link, and it does help the channel out down below. So yeah, I would really appreciate if you used it. Maybe if you don't want to get one of these and you want to buy something else, go ahead and use that link and then purchase whatever you like. I'll still get credit for your purchase. So I'll see you guys in a future video, and see you guys later. Peace.
까까로 그만해. 안돼. 까까로 그만해. 네, 까까로 그만해. 우리 너무 요즘에 많이 했어.
까까로.
최근에 많이 당첨됐잖아. 아, 2000九百块. 그러면 그걸로 오늘 시장에서 나 맛있는 거 사줘야 되겠다. 시장이나 가자. 불쌍한. 그러면 그걸로 오늘 시장에서 나 맛있는 거 사줘야 되겠다. 시장이나 가자. 불쌍하다. 우와. 헐.
여기 시장이 관문이 있대.
엄청 일찍 갔네. 早点关门了。
对呀，所以我们일찍 여기 왔어.
早点到这里.
예.
나 시장 진짜 좋아하잖아.
现在我的情况是很饿.
情况是什么?
情况是상황.
요즘 공부 많이 하지만 단어를 아주 많이 알아. 못 답한다. 너무 어려운 봐.
이러지 마. 언니 정신 차려. 现在吃的东西是
什么?
还没不知道.
还没不知道?
응.
저 시장 오면 가슴이 떨려 막. 나는 다안 나오다가 뭐 하는데 맞아.
그래서 지금 시장 와서 눈 돌아가는 거야.
맞아. 사람들이 걱정 많이 하시더라고. 단식하는데 과일 먹으면서 하고 있냐는 거야. 근데 그게 무슨 단식이야?
너 살 많이 쪄서 걱정하는구나.
과일도 많이 찌고.
형이 살 계속 쪄서 코가 더 뚱뚱해지면 어떡해? 现在有问题的情况，
其实这里里面没有餐厅，
对啊，没有吃饭，
所以外面去。
这是不行。没吃饭。여기도 하이라이프가 있잖아.
아니 아까 저기서 본 게 이 하이라이트야.
알아, 바보야.
뭐야 연예인병이다.
아니야,
관심
이거는
한 번 더 받고 싶어가지고.
맞아, 관심병이고 나는 관심병, 넌 연예인병.
그럼 주디는?
주디는 很大的内内병. 这边来过了.
그럼 주디는?
주디는 很大的内内병. 这边来过了.
와봤어?
It's Jody.
아
여기
둘이 갔던 거기? 아 베트남 음식이다. 헐 미쳤다.
타이완에서 베트남 음식 먹기.
이야 설레.
이렇게 맛있겠다.
이렇게 앉을까?
아, 시시. 와,
아 씨씨. 헐.
응?
你在干嘛？我帽子为什么在我？突然很高，为什么？
你要魔术吗？
我不要魔术，
魔术。现在我们需要的东西，
怎么需要？
我们需要的东西，还没。
还没。喂。哇哇！
진짜 맛있겠다.
아 고수 들었나? 와 내가 베트남 음식을 2년 전에 처음 먹었거든. 근데 베트남 여행 가서 처음 먹어봤어. 진짜 맛있더라. 그러고 난 베트남 음식에 빠졌어.
근데 왜 베트남 음식에 빠지고 살은 안 빠져? 오, 라인 미쳤다.
라인? 여보 한 거야? 싫어. 완전 베트남 사람 같다. 난 라인 안 넣어서 먹어.
나 진짜 라인 넣어봤어. 레몬도. 그치?
어?
타이완에서 베트남 음식 먹기.
이게 뭐야? 이거는
이렇게 큰 걸 넣어 먹으니까
이거 같이 먹는 거잖아.
그게 무슨 소리야? 이게 어떻게 1인분이야?
그냥 이렇게 먹으라고
너 이렇게 큰 걸 먹으니까 다이어트에 실패를 하지.
괜찮아.
이게 너 얼굴보다 크잖아, 봐봐.
이거
근데
당연히
이-
내보다 크지.
영이가 다이어트를 실패하는 意识是所有的减肥失败的意识是我忘了。
뭐야? 나도 진짜 TV에 못해.
내가 지금 변화를 주고 싶은 부분이 있어.
얼굴?
민트.
이름? 민트?
응, 어양화 민트.
갑자기?
갑자기는 아니고 그냥 주란 뭐야一点点 어머的名字
진짜?
응.
왜?
我的
쌀量的感觉不喜欢呢？
就是喜欢，但是非常善良不喜欢。
아,
我 ChatGPT 说，听 ChatGPT 说，爱的名字是非常善良的感觉，所以你的名字换，你的工作 一红，很好。然后恩惠的名字是很容易，很多发小人。
你为什么当小人很多呢？
不是的，我的名字，对，接近我的名字。
小布，
兔的意思是脏脏的感觉，英文的。
아빠 안 바꾼다며?
아니 근데 샤워는 소중한 그런 느낌인데 똥이 소중한 이런 느낌인 것 같잖아.
소는 그럼 성을 뭐 하고 싶은 거야?
아니 그거 아니지. 소는 내 성인데 이름이 없잖아 그러면.
샤오푸 자체가 이름이지.
아니 싫어. 한국의 간제 명칭 야오. 然后台湾名字的感觉也야오.
그러면 푸푸
现在偶尔的感觉很重要的部分是非常偶尔的感觉不行。一点点偶尔的感觉，一点点漂亮的感觉，一点点善良的感觉，我要全部。有吗？
그거 뭐怎么样？
악몽, 바람마. 이 말지마, 깜짝 놀랐어. 그냥 어머니感觉 그치?
어머 약간 아이도 만지는데 내가 느끼기에는
그치? 이름이 악마 어떡해?
귀엽잖아. 그냥 대놓고 악마 이렇게 하니까 귀엽잖아.
내 이름이 너무 착해서 은혜 이렇게 싫다고 했는데 갑자기 악마, 악마 이렇게
근데
하면
이름만 착한 거지 원래 그렇게 막 착하진 않잖아.
난
그래서
착해.
난 반전 매력이라고 생각하고 난 지금 은혜 이름 너무 좋은데.
이거 왜 이렇게 오늘 날까? 왜? 이거 봐, 이렇게 진짜 못된 사람은 이렇게 가스라이팅 계속 하는 거지. 나한테 추천한 거길래. 뭐하고라고 그랬더니
어머 이렇게. 약간 무서운 느낌이라서 사람들이 잘 당하지도 않을 것 같고. 사람들이 나한테 말 잘 안 걸잖아. 나는 좀 그렇게 생겼나 봐.
이거 이름이 이소영이잖아. 소영이 이름 참 리소용
너무
같은
만만해.
알량도 같은. 아 약간 남자 같은 이름이긴 하다.
소영이?
수용소 이런 느낌.
왜 내 이름
아 약간 남자 같은 이름이긴 하다.
소영이?
수용소 이런 느낌.
왜 내 이름 가지고
근데 푸어모 하면 매우 맛이 어울려.
그럴 것 같아?
한스 싫어.
그래요?
为什么没有种见的感觉?
왜 귀여운 척해?
귀여워 보였나 보지?
아 모자 때문인가 봐.
这是很难
근데
见.
이름 바꾸는 진짜 힘들다.
对. 여기 장명서 같은 거 있나? 영화는.
있지 않을까?
응.
없나? 있을 것 같은데.
你的名字的意思是?
너도 민지.
嗯.
잉월스
什么?
예예.
爷爷。很好，我的名字是的意思是 목사님이 지어주셨어.
근데 지금 이름 한번 바꾼 거잖아.
원래 요셉.
요셉을 목사님이
조셉은 우리 아빠가 지어준 거고, 그 은혜는 아빠랑 목사님이 지어줬어.
근데 왜 지금은 챗GPT한테 물어보는 거야?
난 챗GPT한테 내 이름 뭘로 바꿀까 이렇게 물어본 게 아니고 2026年的사주를 물어봤어.
그래?
근데 걔가 이름을 바꾸라고 하는 거지. 은혜, 너에게 좋은 팁을 줄게. 그것은 말이야. 은혜가 이름이 너무 착해서 이름을 바꾸면 정말 좋을 거야. 그래서 내가 그렇구나. 그럼 이름을 한번 바꿔볼까? 하는 거지.
챗GPT를 믿는 거네.
걔가
순수하다.
그 새끼 나보다 똑똑해.
되게 순수하게 사람들이 착한 줄 알고 그러는 거야.
우리 엄마는 착하고 나도 착해서 우리 엄마 보이스피싱 당했던 거야.
아니 안 착한 사람이 어딨어. 주소서에 있는 사람도 착한 사람이 있어.
나는 선악설을 믿어. 성악설을 믿거든.
그중에 뭐 착한 사람도 있고 어떻게 나쁜 짓을 안 하는 사람이 있겠어. 착하긴 착해. 학교 폭력한 적 있어 없어?
없어. 당했어.
거짓말치지 마.
진짜 학교 폭력 당했어. 애들 왕따 시키더라고.
시킨 게 아니라?
응. 왜? 짝짝 잊지 마!
사춘기 시절
짝다리를 반대로 집었네.
선생님들도 나한테 욕을 많이 했어.
학교 폭력은 진짜 하면 안 되는 거야. 이게 가해자는 별말 아닐 수도 있는데 당한 사람은 진짜 오래 남는단 말이야. 그게 지금 내 성격을 좀 만든 것 같긴 해. 소영 양아치 출동해?
나는 양아치 아니야.
이 업무는 너가 해야 될 것 같아. 난 그냥 응회로 살게.
나는 원래 안 그래. 파리 같다. 봐봐 지금 이 모자 일진 같은 모자. 일진들이 쓰는 이 안경. 일진의 그거 정석이야. 딱 여기까지 하고
이거?
안 감은 머리까지. 일진들은 머리 잘 안 감거든.
멋있다 오빠.
안 감은 딱 일진의 표본이야. 지금 딱 뒤돌면 바로 이제 욕할 것 같은 사람. 그래서 걱정 없는 게 일단 너무 그렇게 착해 보이진 않아. 그냥 함부로 말 걸기 힘든 얼굴이야 지금.
내가 지금 그렇게 일부러 하고 다녀요 좀 세게.
아,
이름을 지금 당장 못 바꾸잖아.
응.
진짜 예쁘는 한민지.
음.
所以我要我的感觉是很厉。
지금 좋아. 지금 좋아.
안무
안마?
업무的感觉。
귀여운데요?
衣服的 스타일에
음.
很对立。 리치도.
사람들한테 그 이름을 추천해달라고 하자.
大家我的名字推荐我。
말 좋아.
Hello and welcome to the Whirlybird channel. Today I'll be reviewing this 2.5-inch lava toothpick class quad from Happy Model. So here we've got another toothpick class quad from Happy Model. This is the Lava X. And I know a toothpick quad will never have the power and the flying characteristics of a 5-inch, but this comes pretty close, and it does a great job of fooling you into thinking you're on a very agile 5-inch. You can throw it around, and even though it doesn't have the weight of a 5-inch, it's got plenty of inertia, so those quick throttle-off manoeuvres make it feel like it's a much larger quad. And that's what toothpicks are all about. But they're so much cheaper to build or buy, they're fun, fast, and very responsive and cheap to run. On a 3S HV LiPo, you'll get about 6 minutes flying out of this. Push it hard and it'll be a lot less, but it's still a lot longer than flying a 5-inch. So this Lava X is a 100mm 2.5-inch frame, and it's cut from 3mm carbon, and as you can see it's a True X. And this one is very stiff, remarkably stiff, and it's got really good protection around the motors here, so you're not going to damage those bells when you hit a tree at any time. And this is using the Crazy Bee F4 Pro version 3 all-in-one flight controller with ESCs. Now, I've had my problems with the version 2 of this board, and so have many others. It has a habit of frying the 5-volt buck inverter, and I've got quite a few dead ones lying around here. Now, it seems the ESCs were causing massive spikes on the supply that the BEC simply wasn't spec'd for, and it would just die. And this was partially fixed by Happy Model by adding a large capacitor across the battery terminals to suppress all those spikes. But this V3 version has upgraded 10-amp ESCs that are a lot less noisy, and the back has been changed. And it seems that has fixed things. Certainly the Cinecam 4K I tested a couple of months ago that uses this V3 controller has been fine. One thing that hasn't changed though is the onboard SPI receiver, which has just got awful range. On the Cinecam it was about 50 metres. So when I ordered this one, I got it with the FrSky RXSR receiver that's mounted on the back here with a zip tie, and you can get it with an XM Plus as well. So range isn't going to be a problem, and I've mounted the antennas out on a couple of zip ties on the side here and a bit of heat shrink, and those are all provided in the box. And this flight stack is all nicely soft mounted. You can see here we've got soft mounts on there. It's pretty nice. The USB on the underside of the quad here and the underside of the Crazy Bee board is very easy to get to. There's a nice little cutout there, which is good. And this battery strap, I know these are built to a budget and they had to keep the cost down, but rubbish battery straps really irritate me. I mean, a good one really can't cost much more than one of these. And this one is just way too long to wrap around a 3S. It just needs cutting down a bit. And this flight controller in here is flashed with Betaflight 4.0.5 on the Crazy Bee F4DX target. Now these motors, they're just so light. These are the EX1103 7000 kV motors, which are very responsive. And I think that's down to the low mass of this bell here. They're very light, they're about 4 grams, and speed changes on this motor are just almost instantaneous. The props you get with these will either be the Emax EVAN Rush or these HQ T2.5 by 2.5 by 3, depending on what's available. Mine came with these HQs, which I found completely fine. I know the Emax EVANs are a fairly aggressive prop, so they will have more drag. On the top of the stack here is a Happy Model Diamond X VTX that's got 40 channels and a built-in DVR for recording in flight footage. It'll only be as good as the camera, in this case a 700 TV Line Runcam Nano 2, but there'll be no video breakup or noise. And the DVR records at 1280 by 720 at 25 frames a second, and that will be in AVI format. And the VTX is power and channel switchable with TBS Smart Audio, and it uses this simple sleeved dipole antenna. And by default, this VTX is set to 200 milliwatts, which is the maximum it will go to. And because it's been pre-configured by Happy Model with VTX low power mode on in Betaflight, it will always be set to 25 milliwatts until the quad is armed, and then it'll switch over to whatever you set it to. It's really nice to see that Happy Model are going to this care in their setup. And the Nano 2 is a pretty good camera. I like the dynamic range it gives you, so the light to dark transitions under trees and shadows are very snappy. This has got a 2.1mm lens, so you get about 155 degrees field of view. And I found the sharpness a bit too much for me, so there's slight ringing on the edges and the sort of like shimmer that you get. But that's pretty much a personal thing and can be easily turned down. And the colours are a little bit saturated for me. Now this canopy, you get a spare one of these in the box as well. This has been moulded from polycarbonate, so it's pretty hard, which means jello is non-existent. If this was TPU, I'd be slightly worried. And there's plenty of protection on the camera here, and it's really easy to just adjust the camera. You can wind it up and down like that. Now, the build quality is pretty good. It's not the best I've seen, but there's nothing horrible in here. I did have to tuck some of these wires in to get them out of the way of the props. Now, the all-up weight for this, let's have a quick look, shall we? So, we've got 54.1 grams, which is super light. And you can power this on 2 or 3S, and I use these GNB 450 mAh 3S HV lipos, and the tune was just fine. I tried it on 2S and it's a bit underpowered, but I did have to tweak the rates just to suit my particular flying style. Now, it's really fast and agile, and the only prop wash was on hard vertical drops, followed by full throttle. And that's easily flown round and maybe a little bit harder to tune out, but it's nothing to worry about. And I think these HQ props are a bit softer than the Emax Evan Rushes.
Hi, this is John from Chicago. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you the Happy Model Lava X. I've had it now for 7 weeks, and I put it through a lot of punishment, and it has worked really good. Most of the reviewers have reviewed this already, and most of them, for the most part, like it. A lot less, 270. Lava X will make on the radio. It starts off with a low RSSI number of 57. A typical XM Plus will start off in the 90s. Once it hits 24, the quad will drop. Many people are complaining of all the warnings they get, and a few have been actually getting fail-safes at 80 to 100 meters. I'm coming up to a mailbox here, which is at 155 meters. and it's still going. I think I'll end up with about 225 on this particular flight. I have tried 3 or 4 different flights on this, and they've all ended up about within 10 meters of each other. I've tried to extend the antenna up straight. I was hoping that that would improve it, but it didn't do anything to help. I am now doing lap speed testing on a shorter playground track. The track is about 500 feet long, and I flew 2 packs, and I'm using the fastest 3 consecutive laps, which was 11.3 seconds. This was about a second slower than the Sailfly X, which was the quickest of 10 quads, and it was a third of a second slower than the Diatone 229. I'm now testing the Lava X on the larger field track, and it handles quite well, and it's fairly fast at an average speed of 16.7 seconds per lap. My fastest time was with the Turbo BE 120 RS using 4S, which was 15 seconds. For pros and cons, the cost of the quad is one of the lower ones in the toothpick twig range at under $100. I think I paid $90 for this particular one that I've been testing. Another thing is the camera. They put a Nano 2 camera on it, which is I think the best camera out there now for these nano-sized quads. And then fun factor, as far as cons go, durability, it's quite durable, but I did have the flight control board move when I hit a pole in a tree. You had to loosen up the screws and straighten the board and retighten it down. And I also cracked the canopy, but they give you a spare canopy, so it's good that they know that you're going to need a new canopy. It'd be nice if they made it out of a material that would hold up a little bit better. The flight control board, I had some concerns, and it worked just like a charm. So basically, it's for the money. I don't think you could go wrong with this quad. The video that's playing now, the quad is flying on 2S. I lowered the camera angle a little bit, and you could just float among the trees. It's fairly easy, and in fact, on Stu's second video, he put together a starter system, a quality starter system for beginners that listed for about $300. I would say it could be used by beginners. It's a little fast, but on 2S it's easy to fly, and it would work out. On a quality system, I would probably recommend for a radio the FR Sky X-Lite, and for goggles, they've been down to $200 or under $200, the Amway Commanders version 1, or the for a little bit more, for $250, $60, you could get the Sky Zone O2s. This is a spreadsheet that shows the specs and performance data for the Lava X, along with 9 other toothpicks / twigs, and also some brushed whoops and brushless whoops that I've been testing. I'm hoping to bring you a video on 10 toothpicks and twigs coming up very soon once I get my last one built. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave those below, and don't forget to click the like if you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.
I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe James Select TV.
Good morning. Welcome back to Imagination Tech, and today we're going to be unboxing this Happy Model Larva X. Not sure why it's called Happy Model. Siguro hindi masaya kapag binuksan mo to. Okay. Wow, bubble wrap. Akala ko parts that you need to actually make buo. So, buo na pala talaga siya. Okay. So, ano to? Hindi ko alam kung ano to. Dito siguro nilalagay yung battery. So, may kasama na siyang strap. So, dito may kakabit yung battery. Tapos, of course, 4 na propellers. Tapos, may kasamang extra. Pero bakit mas malaki? Hindi ko rin gets. Siguro para mas mabilis. Yata. Hindi ko alam. Okay naman siya. Maayos naman yung wirings niya. Hindi ko alam. Ito, camera. Yes, it's a camera. I can see. I'm not sure kung malinaw nga lang siya. Yun lang. There's something like adhesive. Adhesive ba to? Para hindi malalaglag yung battery pag lumilipad na. Ito, of course, battery connector to. Ito, hindi ko... Antena ba to? Ang liit. Okay, so yeah, antena. Yun lang. Wala naman akong ibang masabi. Maayos naman, malinis yung pagkakawar niya. Hindi naman ako natuwa. Kahit happy model siya. Anyway, may kasama din siyang ano to, manual, diagram o thingy-thingy, and kasama pa dito kung paano pa rin, settings, whatever. Hindi ko rin maintindihan. Yun lang. Hindi naman ako natawa ako. Anyway, cute siya. Very cute. Does it turn into a butterfly because it's a larva? How much was this? $95. Okay, hopefully maganda yung performance niya. So later we're gonna try to fly it.
So that was my fiance who did the unboxing, and we thought it would be fun to have her unbox this Happy Model Larva X, knowing that she has no idea about all of these FPV stuff. So yes, this is an antenna, and the Larva X has a Crazy Bee board, Crazy Bee F4 version 3. So in previous versions there was an issue about the quality control or durability, since those boards seem to have burned out fairly quickly. But with this version 3, we'll see if the quality control has been improved. So it also comes with a Diamond VTX, so that's gonna give us it has an onboard DVR, so that's gonna give us nice footage from this toothpick quad. It also has the Crazy Bee board also has 10 amp ESCs paired with this 1103 7000 kV motors, so it's going to give it plenty of power and still plenty of agility because it's very light. Speaking of light, it also has these 2.5-inch props, and for the weight it is coming around at 50.7, so yeah, 50.7 grams. It's very light, and then it doesn't come with batteries. It comes with an XT30 connector, but it doesn't come with either a 2S or 3S battery, so you're gonna have to supply it yourself. But at least for the props, comes with these. I think these are Emax A-Band props, but I'm not sure. I'm just gonna put some text in the video below. So this retails for around $95. And it's even cheaper than the Tiny Hawk S, which comes at around $99. But yeah, there are several promotions going on right now, so you can get this Happy Model Larva X at a cheaper price, even cheaper than the already cheap $95. Right? So we plug it into our computer and click on connect. And we head on over to the ports tab just to take a look, and we can see that smart audio is set up, but we don't have any receivers or serial RX set up on this page. And that's because the Larva X uses an SPI based receiver for FreeSky. So we can just scroll down and we just want to change our arming angle to 180 so we can, just in case we get stuck in a tree. As you can see that this is set for FreeSky D, which is the D8 mode. I just want to turn on air mode as well, and yep, that's gonna be it for this page, I guess. So we just click on save and reboot. Okay, now we head on over to the PID tuning page where you just want to take a look at the default PIDs. But I'm not going to change anything at this point. We haven't flown this yet, so we want to see how good the default tune is. And so we're just taking a look basically. And on the receiver tab, we are going to be just looking at that as well, but not really changing anything. Here in the modes tab, we can see that ARM and Horizon mode is already set up by default. It does not have anything else set up, so we might maybe we can set up like trill mode or something. So here, flip over after crash, so we set that to aux 3. We put that all the way to the right, and that is going to be about the extent of what we're going to be changing for right now. We're going to set up a beeper as well. That's for aux 4. And then we just click on save because yeah, that's about it, the only thing we need to change on the screen. Heading over to the OSD tab, we have pretty much everything set up as default, and yeah, we're just gonna keep it like that. So heading over to the CLI tab, we want to bind this the Larva X to our transmitter. Now the Larva X actually has the bind button, buried deep somewhere inside its canopy, so it's really a pain to get into, but luckily you can bind it via CLI command. So you type it via typing in bind_rx_SPI. That is the command you use for binding an SPI based receiver. So now that it's
so we're outside today and we're going to be trying out the Larva X and see how it flies in both 2S and 3Ss. So let's just go ahead and get to it.
So this is my first flight on the Larva X on 2S, and it's a very nimble flyer. Even on 2S, it really moves quickly, and you really feel that it is a very light quad, but it never felt underpowered. So you can also see that the image quality on this is from the onboard DVR with the Diamond VTX, and there's some prop wash over there, but I think that's more of a pilot error. Anyway, the Diamond VTX is onboard, so it means you plug in your SD card and the quad brings it. It has a direct analog feed from the camera, which means it is 720p, but the image quality is still going to look pretty much like your DVR, except that there is no interference because it's on board, unlike what you would get on your Fat Shark goggles. So I'm gonna overlay what I can see in my Fat Shark goggles, so that you can also compare the size difference between the recording from the Diamond VTX and what I'm getting on my Fat Sharks. So yeah, this on 3S, and on 3S this thing really moves through the air. It's very nimble, very fast, but at the same time you have very great control over this toothpick, this Larva X. So this is really a really great and fun flyer. So this space that I have is already a little bit too cramped for a 3S Larva X, but I can still go through some of those really tiny gates. So yeah, there are some syncing issues that I've had, trying to sync both the recording from the onboard DVR and from the DVR from the Fat Shark, and that's because I think it's because the Fat Shark is dropping frames, and obviously you don't get any drop frames from the onboard DVR, so probably that's one reason. But yeah, so here's some flight footage of me doing some power loops on 3S. Yeah, so overall, this really flies great on the default tune, on the default rates. So this is a great, even with those defaults, that's a great place to start from. And it flies really great. It flies it's a very agile flyer, and you could just judge it for yourself.
So that is my review of the Larva X. The Larva X is a very fast flyer. It flies fast, it turns fast. It is very light, and it's a really great toothpick. Great value for money. It retails for $95, but there are several promotions that I'll just link down in the description, where you can get this for less than $95. And I think there is a promotion going on right now in the Maker Fire store, so I'm going to link to that as well. The parts that come into this, even if you didn't want a toothpick style quad, you can just buy one of these at the promo price. Break it down to its components, and you'll still have really good value for what you're getting into this package. It's really very light. It has the Diamond VTX, which has onboard DVR. So really, there is nothing else that you're probably going to be looking for if you get the Larva X. So that is going to be it. I hope you enjoyed this review. What do you think about the Larva X? I would love to hear about your experience if you have this, or if you're thinking about getting this. I would love to hear your comments down in the comment section below. Right? So anyway, if you like this video, click on that like. Make sure you're subscribed, and as always, keep building and keep flying.
Most of you guys are well aware that I'm not a huge fan of Happy Model. They have stolen concepts from me in the past, and they make really low quality things typically.
Second hand.
So this little guy is the Larva X by Happy Model. Let's check it out.
What's that?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Drone Mania. So I purchased this little bad boy for about $70 in my country. This is what it came with. The Larva X, which we will check it out in a second. It came with 1, 2, 3 batteries. As you can see, the first 2 are 450 milliamp batteries, and they are 3S. And this one, I don't really know how many milliamp it is, but I'm guessing roughly maybe 700 to 800 milliamp, and it's also a 3S. This drone can fly, as it shows right here in the front. It can fly between 2 to 3S, and it's a micro FPV racer drone. So it also came with this canopy, an extra one, as you can see. And as well, it came with these spare propellers. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So I purchased it for $70 off some person online. And this, they call it, from what I know, a toothpick drone. It looks pretty cute, looks badass as well. So we're here in this area right here, and we're gonna do a line of sight flight. This is not gonna be a video that goes with goggles. That will be in another video. So if you like what you see and you want to see more, and you want to see how my first time flight will be with goggles in another video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on that video and other videos naturally, of course. So let's just put these right away and just get right into it and start the flight and see how well it flies, see its punch, see how well it does flips, etc. And then we'll give our thoughts. So let's get into the flight. Okay, my friends, we got the camera going. Everything is set. Let's just power on the controller. You always want to power on the controller first before the drone in this case. With Toygrade's drones, it is different. You first power on the drone, then the controller. But in this case, you must power on this first, the controller. It's very important. Okay, so offhand, I'm not the greatest. This only flies in acro in my case, so I'm going to try to do my best. There is some winds, maybe about 7-kilometer winds I'm feeling, roughly. I don't have the wind test with me, so I'm guessing around 5 to 7 kilometers. So let's see how I do. And it's not working. Okay, I'm going to re-plug it in. Yeah, I think the battery's dead on this. Okay, now we're all set. Let's hope for the best, my friends. I hope I don't crash it. Okay, there it is. There's 2 levels. Check it out. I'll do the switch and you'll see it goes even faster. You see that? First rate, second rate. I'm going to go on the first, as I'm a noob when it comes to acro flying. I just have some experience through these simulators. This is a beautiful flyer, this drone. I don't want to take it too far, so that way it'll be more in the picture so you can see. But yeah, it is a really nice flyer. I can already feel it. It's beautiful. Wow. Flies amazing. It's a huge difference from these Toygrade drones I usually review on my channel. So it's very nice to see something with more quality and a lot more speed. Let's do a punch on the first rate in 3, 2, 1. So not the fastest, naturally. It is a small guy, but yeah, it has a pretty good punch. Let's do that again a little bit further. Hopefully you will be able to see it because it is a really tiny guy. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's really tiny. It's so cute. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's go with the flips now. Let's see if I can do a flip without crashing it or screwing it up. I'm pretty nervous, but let's hope for the best. Whoa, whoa, that was really nice flip. Beautiful. Let's see if I can do it a little lower. Wow, that's a really nice, fast tuck-in flip. Beautiful. I'm not going to try it any lower than that. Actually, I will. Just for you guys. Let's try it this height. Whoa, that's a really nice flip. I really like it. It just goes really quick. From the big drones to these little drones, the flips are a lot more easier. More tucked in. Beautiful. Yeah, I probably took it so far you can't even see it. So I'll bring it up closer. Yeah, this is a really fun drone. This drone is in the market, if you're still tuning in. This drone is in the market for about 4 years already from what I checked out, or from what I've seen. So it's a pretty old drone, but you know what? It's really, really cute. I would highly recommend this drone to beginners into the world of FPV and acro. I think it's a really, really cute drone. Whoa, whoa, that was a beautiful save. Whoa, that is a nice save. That is a nice save. Oh my god, did you just see that smash? Hopefully nothing broke. It's really good that I'm just is a nice save.
Oh,
Oh my
damn.
god, did you just see that smash?
Wow.
Hopefully nothing broke. It's really good that I'm flying it on grass.
Hot crush. Boom.
Oh my
Wow.
god, did you just see that smash? Hopefully nothing broke. It's really good that I'm flying it on grass, of course. Because if that was on cement, it was a goner. So yeah, I kind of got a little overzealous with the flips. That was a pretty low one. I don't know I don't know what went wrong there, but okay. Hopefully everything is okay. Uh-oh, I hope I didn't damage it. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I really hope I didn't damage it. That was kind of a nasty crash, but let's hope for the best. I'll unplug it and replug it. Okay. Please, 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 please don't break, don't break. Okay. Yeah, still good. Still good. Very happy with that. It's not easy flying these acro drones. It takes a lot of patience and very precise you have to be, like with extreme. What the hell? It's so hard to see it when it goes a few meters even away from you. But here it is. There it is, people. Oh, I hope I got a nice shot of that. I really want to do flips so bad, but I'm scared to break. You know what? I'll take it up higher so I have time to retaliate. Beautiful flip. Whoa, that was a nice long one. Bring it, bring it, bring it. I don't want to lose it over a tree. Oh my god, how many drones I've lost in trees. That's why I really hate flying beside these trees. Really, really hate it. Let's take it up high. No, 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 no. Oh, thank God it went to the tree and then it dropped down. Oh my God, I'm so lucky. I preferred breaking than getting stuck in a tree, people. The battery just flipped right out, as you can see. Just popped right out, but still connected. Yeah, I try to do a longer kind of flip, or a wider one if you want to call that, which I guess that takes a lot more skills. So this bad boy is taking a beating and he's still going. I'm very impressed from him. There he is, beautiful. Still flying, everything's great. You already saw 2 crashes and it's still going good. I really have to be careful from the trees. I really, really don't want it to get stuck in a tree, because now, what the hell happened? It just went cuckoo in the air and just started tripping. What the hell? To be careful from the trees. I really, really don't want it to get stuck in a tree, because now, what the hell happened? It just went cuckoo in the air and just started tripping. Okay, I didn't pay attention to that, or it just suddenly went down. Look how that just bent the crap out from that previous crash, but I don't know how it flew in the air still with that, but yeah, it looks okay. That's the good thing of these propellers. They don't snap like usually on toy grade drones. It's a huge, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah, that hurt a little, but nothing severe. So like I was saying, there's a big difference. I hope it's in the shot. There's a big difference between these, I guess, budget mini micro FPV acro drones to the, whoa, right there is, oh my god, it's cracked a little bit. The frame is cracked. Wow.
Show me.
I hope that will be okay for the flight.
Show me the
So
close
yeah,
up.
there is a huge difference between these micro drones that fly in acro style to the toy grade drones. Huge difference. Can't compare with the two. Whoa, one of the motors already shot. No freaking way.
It's happy model.
Is that the motor or is it the... Let's power it off and then power it back on and see what happens. Because one of the motors is shaking like it's dying or something. Seems like it's okay. Brushless power, of course. Better than the brush that you'll only see on toy grade drones. Okay, let's hope for the best, my friends. Okay, there he is. Let's just tuck that battery a little tighter. Right there, the strap, if you can see, happy model. It's a little difficult to see. Really cute. I really like this drone, it's cute. Yeah, I think one of the motors is shot. Yeah, one of the motors is done. Look at that, it's not moving at all. Luckily, I bought spare motors. So yeah, I'm guessing these motors are really crappy and they break really easy. But I guess from the crashes that I did, who can blame it? Yeah, that is done, my friends. So my friends, that's pretty much it for this video. As you saw before, I had two pretty crazy crashes. Not so insane, but I would say crazy. One of them was a kind of a hard one right into the ground. And I guess that's what screwed up the motor. And then the other one crashed into the tree, kind of, and just fell down, which I was very lucky. I'm very happy that happened. I preferred braking and being able to fix it than getting it stuck in a freaking tree. Yay high. That's not what I'm in the mood for. So anyways, my thoughts of this drone. It's a cute drone. It's good for beginners. It's good to get into the hobby. It is, I think it's a difficult and a hard drone to find it. I don't know if there's so many of them out there anymore because it is a 4-year-old drone. But what my thoughts on it, like I said, it's a pretty good drone, you know. It can take some hits, but not so crazy hits. It crashed. The real price of this is about 110 euro, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is like $120, $130, give or take. I bought it used for $70 with some batteries, so I was lucky. If you can find them used, I would say better buy. Overall, I do like this drone. I think it's a really cute drone, and I would recommend it to people who want to get into acro flying style or freestyle flying. It has some punch, it has some speed. It's good to get into it. You can
Hey guys, NJ here. So here we have it, the reframed Lava X. Now I did threaten to do this only a few days ago, as I wasn't a particular fan of the frame that it came with, and I felt like there was something about that frame that just wasn't working for me in terms of perhaps how it was messing with the airflow a little, and also in the fact that it was just for me a little bit too porky. It was quite thick, a lot thicker and stiffer than it needed to be, which I felt was detrimental to the performance of what the quadcopter could be. So I did talk about getting hold of the Motu splinter frame, and yes, there's a yes and no to can you just get this and chuck it in the and swap all the parts in. The biggest no, which I only found out after I'd already ordered the frame, were that the motors, the motors on the Happy model, I can actually show you the original frame here. So there we have the original frame, and as I said, you can really see how overkill they went with the thickness of this thing. I gave my reasons in the review, but just to recap, something that stiff, it doesn't need to be that stiff for the amount the quad weighs. It's only going to work against it. It's better to keep these things lighter. It just felt like it was drawing a little too much current. It felt like the motors were a little too high in kV, and the whole thing just was drawing too much. As I said, the stiff of the frame is unnecessarily stiff here. In a crash, all this is going to do is really just transfer that crash energy onto something else, like the motor shafts or further up and brake parts on the quad. And after having a closer inspection, I was actually able to find that after just one or two crashes, you can see it there, look at what has happened. This has become warped, and I know these are a pretty tough, thicker motor shaft. Really, this shouldn't have happened, but I dare say it was a contributing factor having such a stiff frame. This Motu splinter I felt was much better. There is just a little give in there, which is a good thing, and of course it's a fair bit lighter. And also a Simple X frame, it just gets out of the way of the airflow. Putting my money where my mouth was, I decided to build into this and then go out and fly it. Now, you've already seen the flight footage, and you can probably tell it flew so much better, much cleaner. I should point out, I'll probably might have flashed it at the beginning of that flight video, the winds when I was flying earlier, it was about 14 mile an hour consistent, gusting up to 18. So there was a little bit of buffeting, but when you're talking about a quad that weighs sub 80 grams, it's not surprising. The buffeting will certainly throw it around a little bit, but it performs so well. So what else have I changed on here? Because of the motor hole pattern, I couldn't use the Happy model ones. You can see here they're a bit of a peculiar tri pattern and an odd size of a tri as well, because you can fit a tri to this frame, but just not this particular size, which is quite close to the centre hole. So yeah, Happy model have kind of gone their own way with the motor layout. So as much as I'd have liked to have transferred these, or at least to have tested them, I really couldn't. What I did have lying around was a set of, and these were some prototype at the time. I think you can get them now perhaps, but these were prototypes that were sent to me a while back from Beta FPV. So these are 1105, so a taller, torquier stator, and obviously with that comes a little bit more weight, at 5000 kV, as opposed to these, which are an 1103. You can see they're a shorter motor, same diameter but shorter, and these are 7000 kV. So here's where I stand on this. I find that the power tends to drop off a little bit towards the top end with these smaller 1103 motors, and I tend to find there's a lot wasted there up at the high end. And what I prefer to do, and what I've gone with here, is a torquier, larger stator, or rather taller. So I've got a bit more torque in more of a usable range. I think 5000 is about the top of where I've found that feels good. So these were pretty much ideal, certainly for these 2.5 inch tries. I've yet to try out a 3 inch biblade. That is certainly something on the radar. Sadly, 3 inch will not fit this frame. I did grab some 3-inch HQ props to try, but the clearance wasn't there, so that's not something I can test yet. But the performance, as I said, and I think it shows from the flight footage, it tracked great, it performed better, there was less prop wash, it was just more confident. I really enjoyed the way this performed. Obviously we lost some frame weight, we gained a little weight with the motors, but these motors with that torque inside that KV just felt great. In terms of fitting this, the canopy was straight on. The flight control, you've probably already noticed this, I had to actually put that in upside down. I say had to, I had the option to put it in the right way up. But another problem is, sadly, the USB cutout on this splinter was in the wrong place. I think it was designed for an earlier version. So the Crazy Bee F4 version 3, this did not line up. So what I decided to do was flip it up the other way. That meant I could keep the actual ESC flight controller, or the MPU, more importantly, the gyros, a little bit lower to the main deck, so that was a good thing. And it also keeps these motor plugs inside the stacker nice and protected. And then there was plenty of room, you can see, for me to put my XM Plus, which you can see how I've routed the antennas for that. So that all went in nicely. I know what you're saying, obviously that's a bit of a pain in the arse when it comes to plugging in the quad, but once it was all, I mean, it's literally spinning off three plastic nylon bolts here, lift the top up, plug that in, and then once this was all set up, and I put that back down, the PIDs themselves I could just mess around with from the OSD, and obviously changing channel, VTX channel, etc. So it doesn't need to come off again unless I'm going to upgrade to a new version of Betaflight or something like that. So it was no real biggie for me to put it in that way around. I will also mention, if you do decide to do this conversion and you want to put the flight controller in upside down, you will also have the problem of motors 1, 2, 3 as a couple, and 3 and 4 in a couple are now the wrong way round. So you do need to swap those in the resources tab, which is very easy, very quick to do. If you ask for it, I'll put that in the that CLI commands. You need to free up the resources, save it, go back in the CLI and put in the remap, which is, yeah, it's super easy to do. So it's no more than sort of half an hour of swapping everything over. Yeah, less than perfect, but we've ended up with something that has, it's vastly improved the performance for me. I really like the way this is sitting and the way it's performing, and it got me thinking, people. So there are still things obviously about this, like, you know, the USB and not being able to fit on 3-inch bi-blades and various other things about where I prefer the camera position, and whether I could have, see, I quite like the idea of having a USB that goes in at the top so you can leave your quad flat and plug it in. I don't see there's any reason why we couldn't, with this being right on the top, shift the camera back. There's a whole bunch of things I started thinking about. So I gave Chris a call over at Halo. As you know, I'm very much in cahoots with Chris, and we've worked together over the years, and you know, we've talked about it in the past, but it's only up until now where I've really thought, you know what, I'd love to have a crack at my own frame design, and working closely with Chris doing that. And it looks like an NJ toothpick might be coming to fruition. So we had a huge chat today on the phone, and we immediately started coming up with some ideas. We've come up with some really cool solutions for a frame design, and it will be around, I'm not going to say specific components, but things like, I really do like this flight controller, I really like the Diamond VTX. So those things are going to be heavily influenced in how we're going to design this. We will be doing a custom pod. The frame will obviously be custom. We've got some really cool ideas to throw in there. A lot of improvements on something like this that will be all nice and up to date. So yeah, you know what, guys? Let me know in the comments. If you don't normally comment, speak up. Is this something you're interested in? Do you want me to put my money where my mouth is and get an NJ frame, toothpick frame out there in the wild? You know how fussy I am, you know how specific I am about how the quad has to perform for my style of flying. if you like that and you want to see me put this together with Chris, we've already achieved a lot today just in one kind of on the phone session, spitballing ideas, and we're really keen to move this forward. So get talking, get in the comments, let me know if there's something you're interested in, because if so, we're going to move on this right away, and I think we can actually start prototyping this possibly, I dare say, within the month. So we could have a prototype and the components, bits and bobs that I want, and yeah, this could be happening within the month, and then we could very quickly go into production if this is something you guys are interested in. So yeah, sound off in the comments, let me know what you think. Do you want me to get on with this with Chris and get designing? If so, and I hope you do, I'm going to get my head down and we're going to produce a frame, which I'm honestly really excited about. Anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys all soon. Take care, bye for now.
Okay, so we're checking out another toothpick class micro drone here from SkyStars. This is one of those bind and flies. It's pre-built and comes with some pretty good parts on here. And obviously the frames are all looking different for all these different models, but this one is kind of interesting with this these braces in the front and the back. So when you have a crash in the front here, it does brace up this other arm here, braces this arm here if the impact's on this corner. So just give it a little bit more durability so that if in front or rear impacts here, the arm won't just completely snap once. Of course, it's a really hard crash, so of course there's not a whole lot to do with that, but that's what these little braces are for, and just kind of give it a different look. Now, all the parts in here are pretty decent. If you look at this, the SkyStars 1103 motor, this is an 8,000 kV motor, and it's got this SkyStars Talon stack in here as well. So yeah, I've done a review of the video on this one, and this one does come with the plugs, which I'm a big fan of. I wish they would just direct solder that, but this particular board had the plugs on here, and the motors had the plugs, so that's kind of why they went with that. But if you look back on some older videos on the Scorpion 80, which is the same thing as the Rex 80, that also had all the same SkyStars parts in there. I believe the motors that were maybe higher kV. I think they were 11,000 kV, but they might have been actually mislabeled and were like 9,000 kV. So yeah, these are basically all the same whoop parts from the Rex 80 in this frame here, but with a different camera. Instead of the EOS camera from Caddx, we got the RenCam Nano 2 in this particular model. So basically we got all the same sort of electronics, 15 amp 4 ESC, F4 flight controller, and video transmitter. I think the video transmitter went to 100 kilowatts. And this one does come pre-installed with the XM Plus receiver. That's why it's a bind and fly. That also comes with other receiver versions, FlySky and Spectrum, and also no receiver version. But this is pretty nice. This comes like this. The receiver antennas are already heat shrunk to the zip ties here, so it was pretty much ready to go. I just added this battery strap here on the bottom. The one that came with was too big. This one fits a little bit better. And I just bound up the receiver, set my modes and my transmitter I set the modes and the Betaflight to match my transmitter. And then I flew with this battery, 2S Tattoo, because we're using the bigger 65mm props. Totally fine performance on 2S. You could possibly do 3S, but then I think you'll have to mess with the throttle curve, maybe put in a throttle limit, something like that. So, as I said, 2S totally fine. You'll see that in the flight footage. Performance is more than adequate. But let's see how much this thing weighs. I actually haven't weighed this yet, so I'm kind of curious myself. Might be on the heavy side. I'm not sure about all these extra parts, carbon parts and 3D printed parts. So we're coming in at 49.7. It's not too bad, not too bad. And we add in our battery here. And total weight with the battery, we're coming in about 78.7 grams. So yeah, it's a little bit on the heavier side, again, compared to a lot of other, custom-built toothpicks are basically trying to cut as much weight out as possible. So, if you're worried about the extra weight, then that's something to be a little concerned about. Maybe you can get rid of some of these parts here like the 3D printed part here. Of course, if you get rid of the braces, you're trading weight for durability, so it's always the trade-off you're going to make. You could also obviously reduce the weight, but then you also reduce the durability as well. Okay, so in terms of the performance, totally fine on 2S. You might be able to do 3S, but I didn't test that. The tune on here, I think, is meant for 2S because I think it flew best on this battery here. It is an older version of the Baneflight again, like 356, I believe, something like that was on here. They did do a PID tune, so you'll see that it didn't do any weird oscillations or anything like that. And it has a custom tune from the factory, so I would recommend just going 2S and just not even bothering touching the PIDs or anything like that, or upgrading Baneflight. So I know that a lot of people out there, they see it's an older version of Baneflight, they go and make the mistake of flashing to Baneflight 4, which is very tricky to tune, and they end up just totally messing up their drone, which is kind of defeating the purpose of buying these, is so that you don't have a lot of trouble getting it set up. So I would recommend just leaving it with whatever came from the factory and just fly it with this 2S battery. You'll be totally fine with that, and I really don't recommend going to Baneflight 4 because it is a little bit trickier to tune on this one if you don't know what you're doing. You can actually burn something out, or just you might fly away to the moon or whatever, things like that. So be aware if you get this, just stick with what comes from the factory. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. I will have a roundup video on all of these bind and fly toothpicks that I've been reviewing lately. That should be coming out fairly soon. I do have a few more that are coming that I need to review, and then I'll do a final roundup, or at least a first set of roundups. I'm sure there's probably going to be more coming. But anyway, here's some flight footage for you, and yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Okay, in this video we're checking out the Turbo B 120 RS version 2 from iFlight RC. And it's pretty similar to the version 1 that I reviewed and have a few videos on before. I think the frame is pretty much the same except for the top plate is no longer there. Now they have a TPU canopy, different motors out, and also a different stack as well. So the stack in here is an updated version of the 16x16 stack that we've seen before that was in the version 1 of the 120 RS. They have replaced the foreign AC. I think it's now a 12 or 15 amp. Yeah, check the link down below for the stack. I'm going to do a more detailed review on the stack a little bit later with some of the other stacks that have come out recently from iFlight, but this is the one that's in the new version 2 of the 120 RS, as well as the 3-inch version that I reviewed, the 136 RS. This is also the same stack that's in the 120 RS. So if you want to see the 3-inch version, I'll put a card in the corner for that video and link down in the description to that one. It was sometime last week. But essentially, you got a new stack here, still 16x16, updated components, a foreign AC, F4 flight controller, and video transmitter. I believe it's also the same power, up to 200 milliwatts. And this one is the XM Plus version, just coming out of the receiver versions. Same Caddx camera in here, the EOS 2, and then the TPU pod here does have these little extensions or holes here for the antenna tubes to put your antennas out here instead of in the back here like it is in the version 1. The version 2 does come in 2 different motor KVs. This is the 1104 4200 kV. So this would be their 4S version. There's also an 1104 motor. I'm not quite sure what the KV of that one is offhand. It's a 2S version, and I might actually prefer the 2S over the 4S. I actually did fly this a couple times on 4S, and I just felt it was way too heavy. So I did offer some suggestions to iFlight to change this version here from 1104 to a little higher kV motor and running on 3S from say 4200 to like 5000 kV. What I did was I actually ran it on 3S. I ran it on this. It's a little bit lighter. So 3S 300 milliamp hour high volts. I'll link this down in the description as well. I thought it flew better on this than on the giant 520 milliamp hour 4S battery, which weighed I think as much as the drone. So it didn't really feel like it felt very good. Obviously you need like a smaller 4S, but I don't have anything smaller than like a 450 or 500, something like that. And yeah, the other 4S smaller one I had was really old and the performance was terrible, so I can't even recommend that battery. But yeah, if you do happen to get the 4S version here, try the 3S 300 milliamp hour battery. You guys still get a pretty good flight time, and it still rips around really good. Now, this model does come with the HQ press-on props here, the 65mm. This one just presses on by friction, but I actually switch mine over to the HQ T-style prop, 65mm prop for the screw holes. If you're going to do 3 or 4S, then there's more likely a chance for the prop to slip or come off in a crash. So that's why I actually prefer this prop over the other one. And this prop I think is actually a better prop than the press-on prop. So I switch everything over to this one. You see I pretty much fly this prop exclusively now instead of the other props because I like the prop so much. Okay, so let's go wait for this, and if you guys are wondering where you can get this prop, I will put a link down in the description when it comes out. It's a prototype prop. It's not for sale anywhere yet, but it should be pretty soon. Check back later, maybe in a week or two, and the link to the prop will be updated at that time. Anyway, so the weight of this is coming in at 61.4 grams, and together with the battery that I used, we're coming in at 86.2 grams. Anyway, so I think this flies pretty good. I'll have a roundup video with the rest of these toothpick style micros in the video. There's a whole bunch of these, and I have several more coming still, so I gotta get through all those first before I do a roundup. But in my opinion, it flies just totally fine. I would actually prefer a 3S motor instead of a 4S motor, but I thought it flew okay on the 4S motor on 3S, so you guys can look at flight footage and decide for yourself. Anyway, here is more flight footage. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Okay, so in this video we're checking out the Eachine TX06 all-in-one FPV camera. And this one here is actually on flash sale right now as of today for like $10, I think, which is half the price of the camera that's in a lot of these all-in-one cameras are in the whoops here, like the UR UAV, the UR65, US65, UK65. I think these are also in like the Snapper 7, Snapper 6, and a Mobula 7, I believe, as well. However, I'm going to actually use this camera here as a replacement for the one that comes in the UR UAV UR65, because this was one of the first generation ones to come in one of these all-in-one cameras, but it didn't support smart audio, even though the flight controller here does support smart audio. But this one here, the Eachine TX06 does. So I'm going to swap this one in. Obviously I'm going to have to cut the wires, cut the connectors off and do some soldering. And we'll take off this camera here, remove that one, desolder that off of here. That's where the connectors are over there. And then there is a pad right over there. Kind of hard to see. Right there. That's TX3. That's the transmit on UR3. And I'm going to enable smart audio on that one on the flight controller, and I believe smart audio on this one here is the green wire. And so there's yeah, let's see, where's the wiring diagrams here. So the white wire is video in, the yellow is video out. There's actually two grounds on here. I'm only going to use one of them, and then there's the green, which is smart audio. So you can use the button, of course, if you want, and the LEDs, but I'm obviously going to be using smart audio because I want to be able to use that feature on this one. I'll still fly this guy around. You know, you guys haven't seen this in like 6 months. It's still an awesome flyer. Everything still works on that. No problems, and yeah. This actually, I like this one better than the US65. The other one, the second generation of this one. I've actually flown this one around more than the US65. Anyway. Go ahead and just, you know, should be pretty simple. I'm going to cut off some of these connectors here, remove the old camera, desolder, and then resolder this one in here, and I think they should be the same size. And one other thing I'll probably do is maybe make this hole here a little bit bigger because this has a bigger antenna than this one here, so drill out that hole a little bit. And I'll be right back with the new camera here, and I'll show you some flight footage.
Right now, you're looking at footage from an FPV drone flying the new Fat Shark Dominator HD video system. What you're seeing on screen is exactly what I'm seeing inside my FPV goggles. And that's a big deal, because before DJI released their FPV system, this was what FPV video looked like. But as good as DJI is, they've got a lot bigger things on their minds than our little FPV community. And that's left a lot of people wishing a more FPV-centric company would release a great digital FPV system. And that's why the Fat Shark Dominator HD is so interesting, because it's very similar to the DJI FPV goggles in terms of features, range, and penetration. But it's made by Fat Shark, a company with deep roots in the FPV community. So could this be the digital FPV goggle that many people have been waiting for? I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. This is the part of the video where I disclose any potential conflicts of interest that might affect your interpretation of the things I'm going to tell you in this video. I have not received any money for making this video, and I have not received any other sort of forms of compensation like trips to the Bahamas or big steak dinners. But I have received this equipment from Rotor Riot. And this is a fairly expensive piece of equipment, and there is a fair amount of value in being the very first one to get this review out. In addition, I do appear in Rotor Riot episodes, and when I appear in Rotor Riot episodes, I am paid for that. So that's all the stuff that's in play, and you can decide whether that affects your interpretation of the things I say in this video, but I just needed to get it out there. Now, I think one of the best ways to discuss the specifications of this goggle is to power it up and show you the menus. And when I do that, you're going to see one of the best features this goggle has to offer that DJI, to this day, still doesn't do. The goggle can be powered from a standard lithium battery with an XT60 connector on it, like most of your flight packs, except the input voltage range is 2S to 5S LiPo. You are not supposed to run a 6S LiPo on it, and that's going to be a disappointment to a lot of people who have 6S flight packs and would just love to be able to use those. The goggle's power button is here on the underside. It is a simple latching switch, and what that means is that if you prefer the old way of powering your goggles, where as soon as you plug them in, they turn on, you just press that switch in and leave it in and forget it exists. Now here is the first killer feature of these goggles. This is just a standard USB-C to HDMI cable. That's all it is, just a cable, 15 bucks on Amazon. But if I plug this HDMI cable into the display and plug the USB into the goggles, so you got built-in USB-C to HDMI out. No $700 DJI smart controller needed. This is what I bought to do the same gosh dang thing with my DJI goggles. Now, one of the reasons why some people want HDMI out is because they're professionals and the actual feed from their goggles, from their quadcopter, is going to be sent out to the audience. In that case, you're going to be disappointed to learn that the system does not currently have the option to do a clean HDMI out. Notice that the goggle overlay is here, but they really need to add the option to have a clean HDMI out if you want to do this for broadcast, and currently the system does not have that option. I have passed that back as a feature request, and hopefully that'll get implemented at some point in the future. But let's continue our discussion of the goggles specifications by looking here in this settings menu, and we'll start with the transmit power. The transmit power can be as low as 25 milliwatts or as high as 700 milliwatts, yes, out of the box, but there is in fact a 1200 milliwatt hack that you can do, and I will show you how to do it later in this video. So the maximum transmit power of these goggles can match the maximum transmit power of the DJI V2. So I don't know if it's my USB cable or the USB port in the goggles, but it keeps freaking popping out. It comes out
super easily. Well, there, yeah, see, like that. If you were gonna do this professionally, or if you really cared about the HDMI out, get some freaking tape or something and tape this freaking thing in, because it just pops out way too easy. The system has the option to do 1080p or 720p resolution, and that is over the air. That is not just for the HDMI output. There are some performance implications of doing that, and we will talk about that in the latency section of the video, but it's nice that that's an option. The frame rate can either be standard or high frame rate, except you'll notice right now as I'm trying to change it, nothing is happening. Standard frame rate is 60 FPS, high frame rate is 100 FPS, but high frame rate is only available if you are using 720p resolution. Down here in the lower left of the screen, we can see the voltage being supplied to the goggles, and here we can see the voltage being supplied to the video transmitter on the quad. And that's pretty cool because, yes, you can have the full Betaflight OSD. You can see it right here. This OSD is being generated by my flight controller and is being superimposed on the video signal. And that's showing me my battery voltage of my quad, and that's fine. But some people are going to fly this system in like an airplane that doesn't have a flight controller. And with the DJI system, there is no way to monitor voltage because DJI can only get battery voltage from the flight controller. So if there is no flight controller, you're just screwed. With the Walksnail Fat Shark system, you can get the supply voltage to the video transmitter showed here in the screen, and there is a low voltage warning which can be turned on and off here if you want to do that. If you're running the video transmitter off a voltage regulator, then you should go ahead and turn that warning off because it doesn't really matter. But if you're running it straight off of VBAT, you may want that. I am really struggling with what to call these goggles, and you'd think it'd be simple, right? Because it's the Fat Shark Dominator HD. Except Fat Shark released a goggle called the Dominator HD. Years ago, it was an analog goggle. I don't know how it was HD. So to have another goggle out there called the Fat Shark Dominator HD is just confusing. But okay, it's Fat Shark's goggle. They can call it whatever they want. But then there's this other goggle out there from a company called Walksnail, which is called the Avatar, which is clearly the exact same goggle, except Fat Shark swears they're not making the Avatar goggle, and they're not the same goggle. And so, what do you call it? The Fat Shark, Dominator, Walksnail, Avatar? I'm gonna get it mixed up throughout this video. I'm not gonna be consistent. But I do want you to know that officially, these are not the same goggle, and if you bought the Walksnail goggle, will you get support from Fat Shark if something goes wrong? I don't know, but it seems like the answer is no. Fat Shark disavows the existence of this Walksnail goggle, except they said they had a technology partner who made the internals of the goggle, and they said they designed the goggle, so clearly it's the same goggle. I have no idea, but I'm going to get the names mixed up. The screens in the goggles are 1080p resolution, and they are OLED screens. This is huge. OLED is brighter, it's more saturated, it's more colorful, it's just freaking awesome. Some people do worry about burn-in on OLED screens, and there's no way to know whether that's going to be an issue with this particular setup, but it is worth pointing out that FPV goggles have had OLED screens for a while now, and in general, whatever they're doing seems to be working. The 1080p resolution is widescreen, and that means that if you're one of those weirdos like me who prefers to fly 4:3 because you like the taller aspect ratio, you're just out of luck. There is an option in the camera settings to change the camera from 16:9 to 4:3, but as of today, it doesn't do anything. Now we're going to take a GoPro and put it in the eyepiece of the goggles so you can... what is the point of this? Because a GoPro can't capture the full range of brightness and color that the human eye can. So you're not going to get the full experience of looking at these OLED screens. And I can tell you that the field of view is 46 degrees, which is pretty much the gold standard today for FPV goggles. A big immersive field of view that fills your vision without having the edges sort of go way outside your peripheral vision, or the edges getting all super blurry because the optics in the goggles can't handle it. 46 degrees is great. By the way, if you feel that 46 degrees is too big, some people like a smaller field of view, there is a menu option where you can shrink it down. So it's no big deal. What I think you can get from the GoPro is you can get a sense of how sensitive the goggle is to the placement of your eye. So you see if I move it to the right here, we get the screen being covered here and it's out of view. And it is not that sensitive. You can see I get a fair amount of movement here before it starts to get occluded, and that is consistent with my experience while wearing them. It's not one of those goggles where if they're not placed exactly right on your face, you're not getting the best possible view out of the screens. The other thing the GoPro can show us is that these goggles have built-in focus adjustment. So these are the IPD sliders, interpupillary distance, that adjusts to the width of your eyes. They have an adjustment range of 57 to 70 millimeters. And if you twist the knobs, you can adjust the focus from -6 to +2 diopters. So here it is basically focused, and if I turn that knob, you can see it gets out of focus one way and out of focus the other way. I will say that I think that the diopter range that they list in their specs is conservative. I have a prescription of -625 in one eye and -675 in the other eye, and I can perfectly focus the lenses and then not be at the end of the knobs turning. So I think they might go as much as maybe -7 or perhaps a little further, but I can guarantee you if you're in the 625 to 675 range, it works for me. And it's a good thing that they have internal focus adjustment because they do not have slots for corrective lenses like Fat Shark goggles have in the past. Next, let's discuss how the goggles fit on your face. Is there any light leak? Are there any pressure points? And so on. And this is going to be a little bit tricky because not everyone in the world has the exact same face. The faceplate on the goggles is removable, similar to other Fat Shark goggles before it, but it only comes
아니면 거위 키워야. 근데 짱구도 있잖아요. 그럼 짱구는 없어요? 아빠 어렸을 때는 거위를 키웠었어? 공상당이다 공상당과. 냄새부터가 다른데. 단반 대화의 점마이 이게 우리 오늘은 거위 고기를 먹었거든. 근데 아빠가 아마 거위 고기를 먹어봤을 거야 대만에서.
나는 안 먹었다.
음식을 너무 많이 먹었어. 잘은 기억 안 나는데 내 기억으로 먹었어.
오리고기를 먹었지. 거기 아니고.
어디 타이난인가
아니.
어디 자이인가 가서 먹었던 것 같은데.
오리고기. 거기 고기는 먹어본 사람이 없을걸? 거의.
한국 사람들 중에서?
거기 고기. 근데 거기 고기는 사람들 잘 안 먹을 거야. 우리가 개고기를 안 먹잖아. 개도 주인은 잘 따라. 근데 거기도 개 못지않게.
거의 한국에서는 관상용이지. 그러니까 뭐라 하지? 거의 고기를 막 먹진 않지. 근데 대만 원래 거위는 근데 가금류 중에서도 엄청 고급 요리잖아.
고급 요리이기도 하지만은 우리가 사람과 이렇게 가까이 지내는 동물은 안 먹잖아. 거기도.
근데 그게 나는 좀 개인적인 차이라 생각하는 게 나는 거위는 사람과 가까운 동물이라 생각하지 않아. 근데 이제 어떻게 보면 대만에서도 이 거위 고기가 엄청 고급 요리야.
그래. 거기가 고급 요리이기도 하고 아주 귀한 고기야.
그치. 귀하지.
희귀하지. 야, 근데 거기 어릴 때는 우리도 거기를 키워왔어. 그러면은 집을 잘 지켜, 배보다 더 잘 지켜.
아빠 어렸을 때는 거위를 키웠었어?
집에서 키운 게 아니고. 우리 마을에서 키운 집이 있어. 거기는 많이 없어.
키우면요?
그걸 아니고 키웠지. 그걸 어떻게 새끼를 어떻게 구했는지 모르겠지만, 그 이제 두 마리 키웠는데 집을 굉장히 잘 지키고 주인하고 굉장히 잘 들어. 개하고 똑같아. 그래서 거기 고기를 나는 먹는다는 그 생각을 못했지. 거기 고기는 먹는 게 아니고 우리가 이제 애완용으로 키우는 거구나 이런 생각했지. 거기 고기 파는 집이 한국에는 나는 못 봤어.
그치. 그러니까 여기 이거는 진짜 대만의 제 별미지. 이게
주집 아니야? 저 거기 같은데 이거?
그렇다 맞다. 저 집이다. 여기도 쩐마이띠엔이야. 이 거위 고기를 전문으로 파는 쩐마이띠엔.
근데 저걸 또 먹으려고 하니까 또 맛을 또 떠나가지고 기분이 좀 옹호하네.
근데 왜 거위를 잘 안 키우는 줄 알아?
그렇지.
거위가 왜 귀한 요리냐면 거위는 키우기가 까다로워. 오리랑 닭보다. 진짜 깨끗한 곳에서만 살고 깨끗한 물에서만 살 수 있고 닭이랑 오리는 잡식인데 얘는 풀만 먹어. 그래서 얘를 키우기가 굉장히 까다로워.
이거 양이 자주식이 아니구나.
호호. 그래서 한국에서는 잘 못 키우는 걸 거고 음식으로 아마 하지 못했을 거야. 근데
풀만 먹는다고? 그래 물고기 안 먹어? 나는 거기 물고기 먹는 거라고.
내가 찾아본 거로 그랬어. 아니 뭐 가끔 물고기도 먹나 보지.
아니 거기가 물에 사니까 물고기를 먹지 이 사람 왜 풀을 먹어?
아니 얘가 그랬어. 아니 집에서 키울 때 말이야.
잘못 알았을 거야. 개 푸드등 무슨 하는 거 아니야?
근데 채찌피티가 그랬는데 거기는 풀만 먹고 산다고. 이게 보면 알 수 있는 건데 이게 막 특별한 날에 먹는 음식이 아니고 이미 생활 속에 놓아져 있는.
그렇네.
근데 가격이 막 엄청 비싸지도 않아. 근데 고급 요리인데 막 엄청 막 상상 이상으로 비싸진 않아.
거위 우리가 오래 키우고 다 키우는 거를 봐도 거위를 대량으로 키우는 데는 한 번도 못 봤어.
거기가 말했잖아. 진짜 키우기가 까다롭다고. 그래도 대만 사람이 가은이를 더 잘할 테니까 가은님이 거의 킬러야. 그래서 대신 시킬 거야. 아빠 그 소금물로 절여가지고 한 오리고기랑 아니면 훈연으로 하는 거랑 먹어볼래?
훈연 같으면
진짜 시킬까?
아니지. 그 훈연 같으면 연기로 했는 거잖아.
근데 처음에 사탕수수나 이런 걸로 이거 태워가지고 한 거랑 하더라고.
그거 해 그거.
훈연으로 한 거?
소금은 뭐야?
소금을 이제 소금물로 이게
소금에 해가지고 그 두 개나 먹어.
두 개나 먹어보자.
두 개나 먹어보자. 야 이거야 거위를 먹다니.
외국인은 그냥 뭐 몸에 안 좋은 그런 게 없어서 그냥 소금물에 요리를 해도 괜찮대.
그래 오리도 몸에 좋다 그러잖아 그죠?
이 거의 기름이 진짜 몸에 좋은 거라서 여기에 뭐 혈관이 막 꽉 찬다거나 그렇다고 하잖아. 돼지고기 많이 먹으면. 근데 얘는 안 그래. 진짜 몸에 좋은 기름이래. 그러니까 우리가 그냥 올리브유를 마신다고 생각하면 된대. 진짜 좋은. 그래서 여기 또 유명한 게 있을 거야. 거의 기름밥이 있어.
그러면은
아니야 먹어봐야 돼 아빠.
안 돼.
아빠 늘 항시 오픈된 마음으로. 내가 옛날에 오리고기라고 속이고 먹였을 수도 있었는데. 근데 멋있는데 별미 이랬을 거야. 아니 이랬을 거야.
오리는 내가 두 번도 안 먹었는데 진짜 맛있었어. 최고였다.
그러면 가은이 뭐 먹어요? 버기 킬러잖아. 버기 킬러. 킬러.
아 이거 술 한잔 하겠다 그러면 술 한잔 해도 되나?
아니 해도 되는데 아빠가 나는 심장이 있다 그래서 거위도 못 먹겠다. 내가 거위를 어렸을 때 키웠어가지고 이랬더니 갑자기 그 맛있으면 술 한잔 먹어도 되나 이거 뭔데?
심장무로 하니까 내가 안 그래도 심장이 지금 살짝 떨리고 있는데 뭐라 하니까
언니 아까 나는 그냥 맛만 볼게. 맛만 보면 될 것 같아. 더 이상 안 먹어도 된다 이랬으면서 왜 갑자기 또 술 시키나 그러는데.
먹어보고 나 거기랑 먹어보고 그래도 좀 처음 먹는 고기니까 우리가 이 대회 고기 먹을 때 있잖아 사람들이 잘 안 먹잖아 참 사장님하고 이렇게 좀 친하게 지내는 그 동물인데 먹으려고 하는 게 그렇잖아 그래가 이제 술 한 잔 먹고 이러면 먹기가 좀 낫나?
근데 옛날에 아빠 아마 내가 오리고기랑 소고기 먹인 적이 있을 거야. 야, 내가 그 당시에는 어로, 야로, 오리고기랑 거위고기를 구분을 못했고 그리고 한자도 내 기억으로 좀 비싸게 생겼어. 그리고 이게 거위고기라는 상상을 못하니까 그냥 아빠를 그냥 먹였을 수도 있어 내가.
여기는 오리도 팔겠네 오리도 팔고 거기도 팔고
여기 우리 안 팔아. 여긴 거위고기 전문집이야. 아 근데 특이한 거 있어. 상어고기 있어.
이게?
우리나라 그 돈베기처럼 제사상에 올라온 그 돈베기 있잖아.
상어는 맛있네
근데 아빠 상어랑은 별로 안 친하잖아.
상어는 그냥 부담
상어랑 스트레스 못 줄 뻔했어. 다행이다.
상어 치는 것도 상어를 또 먹으면 또 뭐 먹을 수도 있지
다행이다.
생각해보고 먹지
다행이다 안 친해서. 다행이야. 진짜 일단은 소금물에 절인 거. 아 이거는 거의 기름으로 한 거. 죽이지. 자 먹어보자 아빠. 보통 이게 생강이랑 먹거든. 실시에 응. 아 부추랑 장. 나 이거 먹어봤지. 자 이거 먼저 먹어보자 아빠.
간장을 찍는 거 아니야?
간장. 오케이. 그리고
이게 따뜻하게 안 해주네 맛은
이게 닭고기는 껍질이 얇잖아. 근데 얘는 탱글탱글해. 탱글탱글. 쫄깃쫄깃하고.
쫀쫀쫀쫀하네
맞아. 그래 달라 껍질이. 그래서 고급요리라고 하는 거지.
야 이게 닭고기 같진 않다
거의 기름밥.
아 기름밥
신기하지? 이걸 꼭 먹어줘야 돼.
나는 고기만 좀 많이 먹고 그런다
아이고 별미라니까 아빠. 아빠 이 거기 기름이 진짜 귀한 거야. 프랑스에서는 이걸로도 감자튀김 튀기잖아. 거기 간 알지? 포아그라인가?
고기가 진짜 이건 뭐 탱글탱글하다
맞지?
고기가 좀 달달하고 이거 조금 닭고기 갓도면서도 닭고기 같지 않고
아빠 이거는 또 훈연이야 훈연. 내가 훈연한 건 처음 먹어봐. 사실 그냥 거기고기 이거는 먹어봤거든.
근데 이거 먹으면서 국물 이런 건 안 주네
국물 시켜야지.
국물 다 시켜야 돼? 근데 왜 나는 차온 거보다 좀 덮여가지고 따뜻해졌으면 더
차갑게 오늘.
그래 샷기를 먹어.
자, 맥주 한잔 먹자, 아빠.
고랑지가 없어.
고량주는 없다, 아빠 여기.
그래.
와.
살짝 나네. 살짝 연기 나네.
와, 장난 아닌데? 사탕수수 같은 걸로 이렇게 혼냈대.
아, 그렇구나. 이게 싹 올라오네.
야, 이거 진짜 최고다. 이 껍질이 진짜 장난 아니네.
이 머리 껍질 두꺼운 거 맞네. 엄청 두껍네. 껍질이.
진짜 탱글탱글하고 확실히 옌신도 더 맛있어요. 저는
이게 내가 처음 먹는 그런 맛이 맞다. 고기 고기도 처음 먹네. 고기가 일반 뭐 닭고기나 오리 이런 고기보다는 훨씬 쫀득해. 달달하가는 이거 사탕수수라고 그랬지? 그래서 하나? 그래 좀 살짝 달다 그래. 달달하게 그래.
네가 가공류 중에서도 최고인 거지. 아빠 이것도 먹으면 내가 진짜 몸에 좋은 기름이라니까.
네가 뭐 이래 밥하고 먹으면 되겠다.
이 기름 하나로 이 밥 전체가 풍부해졌잖아.
그래.
이게 상식적으로 말해도 기름을 뿌렸을 뿐인데 이 맛이 풍부해지는 게 말이 안 되잖아. 자,
이 맛있는 고기 먹을 때 술 먹잖아. 맥주 먹잖아. 배불러 고기 못 먹는다. 먹으면 고랑되잖아. 딱 먹으려고 그래. 술 한잔에는 뭐다 좋네.
최고지. 이거는 이 내장 볶은 거야. 이게 콩나물하고 저살. 거기는 버릴 부위가 없대. 간도 그렇고 다.
발톱도 먹는 거야.
아, 발톱 먹으면 그렇지. 아, 발톱 왜 먹는데? 난 먹었나 먹어. 어쨌든 근데 거기는 진짜 버릴 게 없대. 간도 먹잖아. 프랑스 이런 데서는.
아니, 안 먹어. 그래. 버릴 거 없어.
이렇게 다 해서 4만 원? 나 안 돼. 한 정도? 이렇게 별미.
비싸네.
이게 별미인 거에 비해서 막 엄청 높은 가격대는 아니지.
그러네. 아까는 그럼 비싸게 이런 건 아니다.
식초? 식초에 찍어 먹는 게 더 깔끔하네. 오빠 아니야? 어?
이게 내가 국물 하나 시키자. 나는 이거 면을 좋아하다 보니까 나는 면을 우으면밖에 안 먹어.
거의 기름면.
국물 하나 시키자. 따뜻한 국물 해주니까 안 된다. 좀 따뜻하면 난 더 좋을 것 같아. 너무 차가워. 원래 그 고기는 따뜻하게 먹어야 더 맛있는 거 아니야?
이게 여기도 따뜻한 돼지고기 있잖아. 동파육 이런 거. 따뜻하게도 먹고 뭐 차갑게도 먹고 하는 거지. 우리도 냉채 족발 있잖아. 차갑게 먹는 거.
아니지. 이걸 따뜻한 국물에다 담가 먹는 거야 전부.
얘 왜 담가 먹어? 이미 담가서 나온 건데.
이거는 차은 거잖아. 그러니까 따뜻한 국물을 따로 식혀가지고 담가가 이런 거.
담가서 먹으면 애초에 따뜻하게 나왔지. 냉채 족발 혹시 따뜻하게 먹어?
그 족발은 식어야 맛있어.
얘도 식어야 맛있는 거지.
그런가?
여기도 동파육 이런 거 있잖아. 족발 덮밥 이런 것도 있잖아. 씨씨. 응. 따뜻하게 먹고 싶어하는 거 같네.
그 참기름을 넣는 것 같은데? 근데 참기름하고 이거 고기 맞는 거지?
그런가 보다. 아, 맛있네. 1등? 2등. 대만이 거의 생산국이 2등이래. 그러니까 고기가 진짜 발달이 잘 되는 거야.
여기가 물이 많은 모양이다.
역시 먹어보자.
내가 아는 돈베이보다 올려.
한국은 호롱으로 절이니까.
돈베이 껍질보다는 살만 있거든. 껍질은 그냥 껍질을 처음 먹어네. 그거? 왜? 어때?
엄마 빨리 먹어야 이거.
그건 너무 더러운데. 너무 더러워. 내가 아는 돈베이는 쫀득쫀득하거든. 도구 수준이다, 도구.
진짜 부드러워.
도구같이 부드러워. 이건 너무 부드럽다. 이게 부드러울 수가 있는 거야.
소금이 엄청 부드럽지만은 않은데. 그냥 부드럽긴 한데 뭐 딱 통통한 게 있어. 있으니까 나는 딱.
껍질은 좀 쫄깃하네.
근데 이제 대만은 내가 찾아보니까 얘가 상어가 죽으면 아모니아가 이렇게 나오는데 그 냄새가 나니까 그걸 없애기 위해서 훈연식으로 한다 하더라고. 그래서 이게 향이 있는 거고 훈연의 향에. 이거 한번 먹어보자 아빠.
담백하잖아 담백. 그냥 담백해. 맛이 쫄깃쫄깃하고 담백해. 그 특별한 맛은 못 느껴요. 그냥 단지 이제 식감이 좋다는 거. 식감이 어디에 좋아?
근데 가족들 오거나 관광객들 오면은 이 고기고기를 먹으니까 나 맨날 우육면이나 뭐 이런 거 먹을 생각만 했는데 고기고기를 먹어도 되겠네. 한국에 없으니까. 제일 좋아할 것 같아.
저기서 이제 최고가 이제 여기 오면 우육면 마라탕이잖아.
그치.
대만에 오면은. 그 다음에 이제 세 번째는 이거 하면 그람데.
진짜 이게 한 단계 업그레이드된 관광인 거지. 누가 어떤 관광객이 와서 고기고기를 먹을 생각을 해.
나는 이거 보양탕으로 먹었으면 더 좋겠어. 보양탕으로. 이게 저번 항아리처럼 끓여가지고 있잖아. 끓여가지고 뭐 약재 넣고 이러면 더 좋고.
짱구야를 얘기하네. 그 항아리에다가 그렇게 열고 먹는.
그게 최고였어. 요거는 많이 먹지는 못해.
근데 거기도 그렇게 먹어요? 짱구야처럼. 짱구 근데 짱구 구도 있잖아요. 짱구 없어요?
있겠지. 당연히 있지.
근데 대만 사람은 잘 모르는 거 보니 흔한 건 아닌가 보다. 다음번에 짱구 있으면 짱구 먹으러 가자. 짱구
그렇지. 그건 약이지.
짱구
그건 약이.
와 아빠가 이제 짱구야의 방식을 엄청 좋아하잖아. 그러니까.
근데 차원이 틀려. 짱구야 국물은 내가 먹어본 중에서는 먹는 순간에 이건 이건 바로 약이다.
그러면 짱구도 훨씬 더 업그레이드보다 고급 요리가 될 수 있겠네. 짱구 한번 찾아볼게.
그 보통 뭐 우리 한국 사람들은 향을 좋아해.
되게 잘 먹잖아 아빠.
근데 이거는
고기 자르고 잘 먹잖아.
이거는 그
아니 오리고기도 이렇게 잘 먹잖아. 우리
구워 먹자.
훈연 돼서 나온 먹잖아.
그래, 구워
이거 똑같네.
구워 먹는데.
그래. 아빠가 그냥 탕을 더 좋아하는 거야 개인적으로. 한국도 탕도 먹고 그냥 이렇게도 먹고.
따뜻한 걸 좋아. 그렇지. 그 따뜻한 걸 먹는 걸 하니까 차한 걸 이렇게 먹으려고 그러니까 살짝.
근데 아침부터 냉면 먹잖아 아빠는.
냉면은 면이잖아. 고기가 아니잖아.
아니 냉면에도 위에 그게 사오는데 왜? 당냉면 먹잖아 당냉면. 아빠 맨날 제가 란지 일단 당냉면 먹고 가잖아. 당 엄청 딱딱해져가지고 당냉면 먹잖아 차가운 거.
살있잖아.
아빠도 말 바꿔.
살있잖아.
그러면 아마도 르미엔 있을 수 있겠네. 르미엔 한번 먹어보자. 르미엔. 자 이제 총평을 하겠습니다. 이 이제 거위고기는 굉장히 가금류 중에서도 굉장히 고급 요리고 미식가들의 요리야. 근데 우리 아빠는 이제 미식가가 아니라가지고 이제 거위에 메인하고 까우치. 그래서 이제 처음 먹어보는 거라 잘 받아들이지 못하네.
원래 그 처음 먹으면은 조금 받아들이기 힘들다.
근데 처음 먹으면 그럴 수 있어.
좀 먹어야지.
그리고 아빠 그게 있어서 그래. 거위는 조금 이런 마음이 있으니까.
그렇지. 없잖아.
그렇죠. 아빠가 늘 얘기했던 것처럼 이렇게 마음을 이렇게 열고 받아들여야 되는데. 아무튼 그렇다 오늘의 총평은 이렇고.
닭이 나오는 이런 종류 중에서는 맛은 엄청 좋은데 아빠 조금 받아들이기가 그런데 자꾸 그 생각이 나네. 먹으면서 기분이 나서 간지 모르지만 먹고 나면 또 힘이 나는 것 같아. 아무튼 우리가 조금 미숙하니까
아니야 뭘 미숙해 우리.
시기는 자체가
아니지 대만 사람 시켰는데 뭐 미숙해.
그 우리는 그 탕을 시킬 수도 있잖아.
아니지 그러니까 대만 사람들이 자주 먹는 방법이 그거니까 아까 계속 얘기했잖아.
그래.
그래. 이게 그건 아빠 방식이고 아빠가 이게 탕으로 먹는 거는 아빠가 좋아하는 방식인 거고 대만에 왔으면 대만 사람들이 자주 먹는 방식으로 먹지.
대만 사람들이 먹는 걸 내가 이제 먹는다.
그렇지.
그래 내일 평가를 해달라는 소리야.
평가가 아니지.
이런 먹는다.
이거를 체험하자는 거지.
우리가 저 보면 뜨뜻한 걸 좋아하는 사람이 있고 차운 걸 좋아하는 사람이 있고.
그래서 그러니까 아빠는 냉면을 좋아하잖아 냉면을. 냉면을 좋아하는데 그러니까 이거는 차갑고 뜨거운 거를 어떤 걸 좋아하느냐의 문제가 아닌 거지. 그냥 아빠가 이걸 받아들일 준비가 안 된 거지. 왜 한국 방식이 아니야 한국 사람들이랑 말도 안 돼! 지금 이러고 있는 거잖아. 공산당이다 공산당 아빠. 왜 내 방식대로 안 하면 돼! 내 이놈이 이거지.
그런 걸 유하면 안 되지 이 사람.
아니 맞잖아. 왜 내 방식대로 안 먹는데 그걸 시켜야지 이렇게 하는 거지. 그러니까 다양성을 존중하지 않고 내 방식만 고집하는 게 공산당이잖아.
민주화의 성지 대만에 와가 이 사람은.
아니 여기는 민주화인데 지금 아빠가 공산당이잖아. 딱 공산당 수법이다 공산당 수법.
그걸 자꾸 민주화의 성지에서 그런 거 하면 안 돼.
아니 아빠가 지금 공산당의 수법으로 지금 얘기하고 있잖아. 그리고 대만 사람들이 한국 와가 냉면 먹는데 대만에서 냉면을 따뜻하게 먹는데 이거는 따뜻하게 먹어야 좀 맛있을 것 같아. 이거랑 똑같은 거야 지금.
우리가 대만에 이런 냉면이 있나 그래.
있는데 그렇게 차게 먹진 않지.
그렇지.
그냥 이제 시원하게 먹는 거지 양면이라 해서. 근데 냉면 완전 차갑게 해서
잘 먹진 않는데 대만 사람 한국에서 이거는 조금 너무 차가운 것 같아. 이건 살짝 따뜻하게 먹어야 될 것 같아. 우리나라에서는 대만에서는 이렇게 차가운 걸 먹으면 안 되니까 얘가 조금만 따뜻했으면 더 맛있을 것 같네라고 하는 거랑 똑같은 거지 생각보다.
먹고 싶으면 따뜻하게 해줄 수가 있지.
근데 냉면을 어떻게 따뜻하게 먹냐? 냉면인데 냉.
고자는 수 따뜻하게 해줄 수가 있어. 자기가 먹으면 돼.
근데 그렇게 안 먹잖아 한국에서는.
그거 아직 오니를 원한다고.
근데 시켜놔가지고 따뜻하게 좀 해주이소 이러면 얼마나 진상 손님이야.
근데 자기가 이제 해먹으면 되지.
냉면 따뜻한 냉면 하나 더 있어. 이러면 큰일 나지. 대만에서는 이렇게 먹는데.
따뜻한 냉면이 있대. 저거 가자. 우리 저 세븐에 가가지고.
우리 공산 당원 봐봐 빨간불도 건널 하잖아. 공산 당원 씨.
우리 어디 있어?
빨간색도 안해 빨간색.
빨간 불이 어디 있노? 아, 저 저쪽에 달렸어? 어?
자 이제 민주주의 나라에 대만이 왔으면 이제 좀 민주적으로 하자고. 이제 공산 당원처럼 차가운 거 좋아하면서 나는 따뜻하게 먹는 걸 좋아해 이렇게 하지 말고.
그래, 시원하게 안 되면 시원하게 안 먹지. 저기 자꾸 시원한 거 먹으러 가는데.
그러니까
시원하게 안 먹었어.
아빠 따뜻한 거 좋아하지만 아이스크림 먹어. 알겠지?
시원하게 안 먹었어.
아이스크림 먹으면 안 되는데 근데 아빠 따뜻한 거 좋아하는데.
시원한 거 먹어. 시원한 거 먹어.
따뜻한 아이스크림 달라 하자. 따뜻한 아이스크림. 아빠 너무 차가우니까 안 되더라.
아이스크림 먹어도 되나? 뭐 자기 그런 거 있노?
아이스크림 말고 핫스크림 먹자. 핫스크림.
그래.
블루웨이? 블루웨이? 양보 어떡해. 옛날에는 시원을 할 수 있는 게 진짜 많았어. 근데 지금 저 광고 라이터 요아.
新家归属的。
大家好，恩惠万万普利苏普恩惠。你们觉得最棒的宵夜是什么？我来台湾1年嘛，台湾很多宵夜，我们有特别喜欢的宵夜，你们想知道吗？ 소영아, 이소영. 지금 밤 12시인데 루이 모를까? 루이? 어. 루이? 어. 루이? 어. 我最爱的食物是 루이. 루이? 잠시만.
회를 통해서 더욱더 사랑해주신 것이 됐습니다.
자, 루이를 먹으러 가자.
좋습니다. 네, 자, 세요.
루이.
가자.
가자.
루이.
감사합니다. 자, 구슬을 벌려서 기대가 됩니다.
응? 내가 빅라인을 봤더니 한 12시에 먹는 루이가 진짜 우리 뚜디 라오빠한테 한번 물어볼까. 루이 루이를 좀 더 시켜. 루이를 규리야, 우리 함께 루웨이를 먹으러 갈래?
자세가 너무 좋죠. 부끄럽세요?
왜 이렇게 양이 있어?
한 발 한 발이 중요하다. 이야, 9점입니다. 두고 다니니까 9점이죠.
얼매트를 벗게 됐었다는 게 소름이네. 그런 상황은 변하지 않습니다. 예.
박재희 선수 그림입니다. 그림.
아, 루웨이
마지막 발인데요.
루웨이
지워지는 점수죠.
Raid? How come?
while ago, I received a rather unexpected email from one of the team over at LTT, Linus Tech Tips. They were asking for my details because they wanted to send me what you see here. This is some of the new TrueSpec USB cables that the LTT team have been working on. Now, today I want to give you a bit of an overview of these from my perspective. They didn't ask me to make a video, they didn't ask me to make a review, and to be honest, this isn't a review. I am not an expert on cables, but what I do want to do is just share with you what these are, what it's all about, and let you see what I see with these cables, and you can make your mind up if these are something you might be interested in buying. Now, I just want to be clear before we move forward. As I said, the team didn't ask me to even make a video. They have not paid me to make this video. They've not seen this video before it's been published. And any thoughts and opinions in this video are, as always, entirely my own. So, the first thing I want to do is just explain why these cables even exist. Over the years, on the Linus Tech Tips channel, they've been testing USB cables, and their results have been quite interesting. Their findings are often that either cables can't remotely deliver the kind of speeds that they say they can on the box, or there are wide quality variances between cables from manufacturers. As a result of this, the LTT team have spent the last 5 years developing their own in-house cables, which they call TrueSpec. They are a high-quality USB cable that will deliver the specification that they have written on the box. So, for instance, this cable here says it supports up to 240 watts of power and 40 gigabits a second, and they have tested their cables to ensure that they can do that. Now, today we're going to take a look at 3 cables from the range. We've got a type A to C 1 meter, type C to C 4 meter, and type C to C 1 meter. And whilst I've only got 3 here today, there are at the moment 32 different options available. There are 16 different cables within the A to C range and 16 different cables within the C to C range, all with their own speed and specs. They have also very kindly sent me over this, the LTT scribe driver, to take a look at as well, and I'll show you this in a bit more detail before the end of the video. So we're going to start with the type C to C. As I mentioned, there are 16 different cables in this range. The shortest is 10 centimeters, which supports up to 40 gigabits a second, just like this 1 meter, and the longest is 5 meters, which supports up to 480 megabits a second, just like this 4 meter here. Now, we haven't even opened these yet, so let's give it a tug and get inside and have a look. There is a nice quick release pull cord on the back. They come in this nice, easy to open cardboard. Just pop it open. You can see the cable comes wrapped inside. You just open the box, you've got the orange for LTT in there. Nothing else, no wasted packaging. You've simply just got the cable wrapped up with this nice little LTT Velcro strap. Jumping into the 4 meter, we'll do a tear on this one as well. Not sure which side is the best to go from. There we go. That side tiered very nicely. And again, this one is held inside with a nice big Velcro strap. Pretty much it. No other accessories included. Taking a look at the cable in a bit more detail, the first thing that you have probably noticed is that they are quite thick. It is roughly a 6mm cable stock. It has a silicon outer sheath. We then have our USB-C connection, obviously, on each side. This is housed in flexible TPE. It has the LTT logo there embossed in one side, and what is nice is on the other side you will find the main specification of the cable listed there. This one is the 1 meter, which supports 40 gigabits a second, up to 240 watts. Now, one of the reasons for the cable being a bit thicker than you might see from other cables is the quality of the cable being used. It is constructed with individually shielded copper conductors. You can actually see that copper outer sheath showing through that little hole there. LTT have some real nice information on this, which I'll talk about a little bit more later in the video. They even have some scans that show you the internal construction of these cables as well. What we have here is what feels to be a nice quality cable. They are thick, but they are not super stiff. It does bend quite nicely, but it does retain its shape. Just to show you how that behaves on the bench, as you can see, the cable is thick. It isn't too stiff though. It's a nice flexible silicone, so it will stay pretty much where you put it. It might try to move a little bit, but it isn't that hard plastic like you see on some cables. You're going to have no problems routing this, but it's thick enough that it will retain a shape and it should help prevent tangles. So if I just wrap it like that, it absolutely comes apart fine, no problems at all. Even actually if I try and tangle it, it's fine. It doesn't really want to get itself in too much of a mess. It might twist, but if you just untwist it, it comes out absolutely fine. Here is the 4 meter, and you can see that it's actually using the same cable stock. There is no difference in the cable used between the 4 meter and the 1 meter. You're getting the same high quality, roughly 6mm cable on both, same external packaging, so same silicone housing. Again, offers that nice anti-tangle capability. It's going to be a bit more of a challenge on a cable of this length compared to a 1 meter. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it isn't going to tangle at all, but it's certainly not going to tie itself up in knots like thinner cables would. And in fact, yeah, that comes apart absolutely fine. Moving over to the Type A, and again, same type of packaging. Just tear that off like that, and just then pop him out. The real big difference here is obviously instead of it being C to C, we've got an A connection to C on that side there. Just get this one unwrapped as well. Another nice thing I didn't mention earlier is the fact that the cable wrap stays on the cable there as well. So if you are using this mobile, you can easily coil it back up and wrap it up. But if you don't want it on, you can remove it. It's just a quick Velcro strap there. Again, same cable stock, same USB-C connection on this side. The only difference now is that we have a USB-A over this side here, but again, it has the nice LTT logo embossed and the specification of the cable embossed there. Looking at the cables under the microscope, here we have the 40 gigabits 1 meter up to 240 watt. You can see a little bit of that copper outside sheath on the cable showing through the little hole down there. If we take a look at the USB-C connection itself, you can see this is a fully pinned, fully wired connector. So you can see all of the pins, the gold ones, top and bottom, all looks really good, nice and clean, no complaints there at all. Just looking around at the connector, again, looks really good, nothing untoward whatsoever. If we then move over to the USB-A to C, there are a few differences here. So if we take a look at the A side first, you can see we've got our typical 4 connections there for USB, and then you've got your USB 2 connections down the back. Just spin it around the other way, you can see them there. So that is what's going to offer your USB 2 speed. You've got your traditional power and data at the bottom, and then your additional pins down the back. And then we've got our USB-C for this, which isn't actually a fully wired connector because it doesn't need to be. There are 2 pins missing on this. You can see on that top row there, the 2 pins are missing. If I just spin the cable over, the other pins are located on the bottom. They're fine, and that is because this is a USB 2 cable. It doesn't require all of the pins, and that's how it's wired. Overall, again, same gold pins that you can see inside. All looks fine, no complaints whatsoever. Alongside the release, LTT have also published some of the results of their testing on these cables on their LTT Labs website. For those who don't know, LTT Labs is where they publish a lot of their more in-depth technical information from the testing they do on products on the LTT channel. In recent times, they've done some real good testing on things like power supplies. They have some great information here telling you about the different results from their testing on power supplies for computers. They also have their own dedicated page now for the LTT TrueSpec cables. They've specifically done voltage drop testing, where they talk about the test setup and their published results down the bottom. I'm not going to go into great depth of the actual results, but I will link to all of this down below if you're interested in seeing it. They have also published some incredible images from their LumaField scanner on their new TrueSpec cables. This literally allows you to see inside without destructively taking the cables apart. Here you can see one of the images of the cables coming in down to the main connector and then the pins up there. We've then got this amazing view sort of scanning out of the cable. So they're moving through the cable and out of the end, showing you the internal core.
C, male. To the top, A, female. Connect the mobile phone with your speaking controller. And the video display device enables the projection of video on the device USB type to PC laptop.
我要来测试一下 GPS 的功能，我一直没有时间去做。这里飞控我用的是金航的 F745，然后它这个固件用的是4.4.2。那 Betaflight 这个 configurator 我是用10.10.0，这个是 RC3的版本。我们来看一下设定的部分，我们到这个时空保护这边。 这边其他都没有什么好说的，那网络上都有很多教程可以看。主要呢，我要来测试这个部分。我今天要用这个，我今天用这个是固定高度，我故意要用这个啊。然后呢，只选40，非常低哦。这个地方你们如果是飞那种复杂的环境，千万不要这样设定。我是因为要到一个空地去测试的。然后还有跟动哪里啊？我那天看回来的速度，我是开5.0，看一下下降距离我做10米。那最大的 pitch 角度的话45，下降速率用1.0，基本上我就是用这些啊。最小卫星我开6尾，然后比较早抓到，可以比较早用啊。其他的就像我刚才说的，你们都可以去网络上看，或是照抄这个都可以啊。主要呢就是我今天要测试这个有坑洞这个40米的固定高度，我来测试一下。啊，今天找了一个空地来，不过现在起风啊，这个风拍起来是还好，但是现场风还是有点小大啊。我不知道说这样收音啊，还有整个飞机状况会不会受影响，也不管了。来看一下，现在用这台5寸飞机啊，就是我们设定好要来试一下 GPS 的部分。我在前面呢装这个 Insta360 Go 2，要拍这个飞机的姿态。好，那我们来试看看这个 GPS 设定的效果怎么样吧哈。我这个地方你看它是双天线，前面一个，后面一个，我没关系，这不是今天的重点。那因为避免说飞机有什么状况摔下来损伤到这个天线，所以我先用这个短的，尽量让这个损伤降到最低啊。因为如果说炸机的话，可能炸到机壁比较可以，不会说马上天线整个炸掉啊。然后用的是那个21700 4000毫安时的6S 的电池，蛮重的，整个重量我是没有称啊，因为重量的话，不知道对这个返航上它那个原本的 PID 会不会有什么就是影响，我不知道哦。我们现在就是做一个最基本的初步的设定完之后，先去放飞，让它看看效果怎么样。飞。先往前面这一块比较空的地方，那因为我架那个支架在上面，整个遮挡的蛮严重的。哇，这台飞机，这个新装的飞机，我觉得设定的不错，很轻盈啊。即便是这种21700的电池啊，20%几油门就起来了。然后我现在，我来按下我这个救援啊。哇！哦，我已经有听到它的声音了。那我们现在看看到哪了呢？哦，动作比较慢，看我设的这个速度，觉得还不错。点头的情况有，但是没有那么严重啊。我现在油门全收啊。就是控制完全没有在用的，完全脱控啊！可以听到声音了，拍得到吗？在那个很远的地方，我现在过去拍起来啊！哇，好高哦！哦，开始下来了。我这个下降的速度，我觉得这样子是可以的。可是因为我现在飞机载比较重啊，太阳太大，我根本看不到。还会一边叫啊。落地完成，感觉不错啊，没什么问题啊。我先拔电一下。我觉得完全可以耶。你这个4.4没有遇到说大家很常见那种说点头严重啊，或者是落地很重下来的问题，甚至是说我现在这个状况啊，已经是飞机比较不平衡的状态，因为这个前面这样子，那苍蝇，飞机会比较辛苦，因为前面拉一根这么长嘛，然后又背一个这么大的那个6S 的21700电池。但是整个表现还是非常不错的啊，那我想已经是到了完全可用的状态了。那个前面的参数，你们如果也是5寸机，不过我这是 DC 机架，正差机架的另一个设定我会再来试看看哈。那么我想这应该是没有问题的。如果你也是这种
DC 机架，或者其实你也是一般5寸机的话，你也可以试看看。不过像硬体的不同，还有版本的不同，我真的不知道会不会有什么不一样的地方哦。这种东西就是需要是一直不断的做测试，才有办法有完整的一个结论啊。那没关系，总之呢，基本上今天这个是没问题了，测试成功。好，那今天的影片就到这边吧，我们下个影片再见喽，拜拜。哇塞，有这么多种颜色可以选择，哇！你喜欢什么颜色？你觉得我会选哪个颜色呢？没错，今天我要来跟大家分享的就是 Jumper 他们家的新款哟。
We are not here to talk about this. The Beta FPV Acula 2.0 Ready to Fly kit. It's a new, ready to fly drone, controller, and goggles. It comes from Beta FPV. Everything you need in one box. Plug in the battery, turn everything on, and go fly it. That's not what we're here to talk about. Well, yes, we are going to talk about it because, well, they sent it to me, so I might as well talk about it. But what makes me so excited about this video is that this is the first drone I've had in my hands with the new Beta FPV P1 FPV system. It's so weird that after years and years and years of no digital FPV systems whatsoever,